is Radio Health Journal. I'm Nancy Benson. This week, if a hangover is an alcohol withdrawal symptom, what's going on in the body to make them happen in the first place?
The liver goes at one speed and one speed only. Doesn't matter how much coffee somebody drinks or how many cold showers, it will not speed up the liver's breakdown of the alcohol from the body.
When Radio Health Journal returns.
I'm Reed Pence, host of Radio Health Journal. If you enjoy Radio Health Journal, you'll also like our sister show. Here's a preview of what they're covering on Viewpoints this week.
This week on Viewpoints.
These practices are aspirational in nature, and they're also very practical. And I think we as human beings are aspirational, practical creatures.
Lessons on being a more mindful collaborator. Then,
this is what it feels like, and at times it might be very difficult and nearly impossible to connect with happy memories.
There have been real studies done to show that Potter books can help people gain understanding if someone is struggling with anxiety and fears. I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth this week on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.
Listen to Viewpoints on your favorite radio station, iTunes, and Stitcher.
St. Patrick's Day is celebrated in more countries of the world than any other national festival. In the United States, it's the fourth most popular drinking day of the year, after New Year's Eve, Christmas, and the 4th of July. And many of the drinks, of course, are green.
I think of, all the green drinks with celebrating some of these occasions that are coming up. It may be much harder to know the, if you will, concentration of alcohol, much less how much measuring really would be going on.
That's Dr. Laura Veatch, Associate Professor of Surgery at the Wake Forest University School of Medicine. She's also a licensed clinical addiction specialist with faculty appointments in psychiatry and behavioral medicine. In that role, she's become an expert on hangovers.
When we do have greater concentration, higher levels of alcohol content in, say, vodka or rum or some of the higher proof whiskeys, then we're going to see more complicated hangovers and more likelihood of those than if we were drinking beer that has much less alcohol content, around 5%. Most people, when they're out for a party and it's a celebration time, are not going to ask a lot of questions about what's the percentage of alcohol here or what proof is being used in these punches. So they may be consuming far more than they're used to and their body is used to, and they may be exceeding limits that are going to put them more at risk for those ugly, nasty hangovers.
However, beyond a hangover's connection to alcohol, Veatch admits there's a lot we don't know about them. For example, what's going on in the body to make them happen in the first place?
With all of this research and all of this knowledge, and certainly a lot of experiences with people having drunk too much and then having hangovers, we really do not, in a research manner, understand exactly what is happening that causes some people to have horrific hangovers and other people to just sail right through and act as if nothing has happened. So we're still trying to understand that. For example, we don't know whether age or gender differences is involved in hangover severity or duration. We wonder, does some of the associated brain cell death, especially when there's binge drinking involved, have a connection to that headache that goes along with those awful hangovers? More research is needed.
Alcohol may make people dance on tables, but it's actually a depressant in how it works on the central nervous system.
And even though you're acting like you may have a lot more energy and be, dancing like you've never danced before, it's actually freeing up the part of your brain that's a little bit more inhibited. So it depresses some of that natural guardedness around what we're doing and inhibitions. So we know that when that alcohol depresses the central nervous system, that has a scattershot effect on the brain. And when alcohol is leaving then has finally completely been eliminated from the body, there's this central nervous system shakeup, if you will. It is trying to get back in balance And that's what we believe happens with some of the symptoms that we see, the headaches, the malaise, the irritableness, the grouchiness.
In a sense, Veatch says, a hangover is the lowest level of alcohol withdrawal. That's where the edginess in mood comes from.
Some people report, they may have a heavy drinking kind of experience, overdoing it, but about 4 a.m., they're like wide awake and they're sort of jittery and their nerves are on edge. Well, that's because the central nervous system has flipped almost, if you will, into an excited kind of stage. It's gone from that depressed, drug-affected by alcohol stage to a more, excited, and what's going on here? So that's what sends the central nervous system in more of a cascade event, an alarm, and what we call a hangover.
So if a hangover is an alcohol withdrawal symptom, does that mean the hair of the dog or more alcohol is a legitimate way to feel better? Veatch says no. It's about as valid as the old myth that coined the phrase.
People believed in olden times that when someone was bitten by a rabid dog, the belief was if you could clip some of the hair from the dog that bit the person and give that to them to ingest and swallow, that they would be cured of rabies. And as we know, that is not the cure. So neither is drinking again to try to cure the hangover. Some of the symptoms may be a little dampened, but it's still there.
Alcohol is a diuretic, so people who are suffering from a hangover are often dehydrated. Veatch says drinking water to rehydrate isn't a bad idea, but it's not a cure. Companies even exist, notably in Las Vegas, that offer IVs for fluids and electrolytes the morning after a binge. But getting over it still takes time more than anything else.
The liver goes at one speed and one speed only. Doesn't matter how much coffee somebody drinks or how many cold showers or how much stumbling around they do. It will not speed up the liver's breakdown of the alcohol from the body. So that's what's going on when there's a hangover. The central nervous system and the liver are very involved in breaking down that alcohol and it being eliminated from the body. No matter how much water you drink or how much hydration you have, we do not see in the research that that does anything to cure the hangover or the effects of alcohol leaving the body.
Drinking 1 glass of water per alcoholic drink during a night of partying could be more helpful, if only because you're consuming less alcohol. And Veatch says that's really the key to avoiding a hangover, consuming less alcohol. She advocates a little planning ahead of time.
Talk with friends. Make some agreements about what's too much, just even beginning to open that door. The idea is about pacing. Do I want to have 1 drink an hour and limit it to that? If you want to be in the spirit of the party, you can have a non-alcoholic, colorful drink that may be just as whatever, green or pink or purple, but it doesn't have any alcohol in it.
If you don't follow that advice and find yourself feeling awful the morning after, all Veatch can suggest is something for your headache and eye shades to keep out harsh, painful light. Because for revelers, a hangover cure is still an elusive holy grail. You can find out more about all our guests on our website, radiohealthjournal.net. Our production director is Sean Waldron. I'm Nancy Benson.
Radio Health Journal returns in just a moment.
Colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related death in the United States, but it's one cancer that's highly preventable if people get screened. If you aren't aware, you can't prevent it. That's why Steve Edmundowitz, president of the American Society for Gastrointestinal Endoscopy, says it's good to know.
There are different screening tests out there and different recommendations for the age to start screening. There's a lot of information coming at consumers. Every screening test is not right for every person. Colonoscopy is considered the gold standard and is the only test that can actually prevent cancer by removing polyps. That's why it's important to talk with your doctor before age 50, because it's good to know.
Don't get your information from cute commercials. Talk with your doctor. Experts recommend colonoscopy and FIT tests as the best for people at average risk. ASGE has a handy tool to help you know when and how to get screened. Find out more at screenforcoloncancer.org. That's screenforcoloncancer.org.
The burden of Alzheimer's disease on the nation's families and economy is growing rapidly. The Alzheimer's Association 2019 Alzheimer's Disease Facts and Figures report finds that an estimated 5.8 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's dementia, and 1 in 3 seniors will die from it. More than 16 million Americans are caring for a person with the disease. Dr. Keith Fargo is Director of Scientific Programs and Outreach at the Alzheimer's Association.
Alzheimer's is now the sixth leading cause of death in the U.S., and by 2050, the number of Americans with Alzheimer's is going to climb to almost 14 million. This burden to the country and to families is unsustainable, and it's critical that we continue to invest in Alzheimer's research to reverse this trend.
Fargo says in 2019, Alzheimer's disease will cost the country $290 billion. And without scientific advancements, that figure will top $1 trillion by mid-century. Learn more about the impact of Alzheimer's disease at alz.org.
A message from Alnylam Pharmaceuticals. March is Amyloidosis Awareness Month, aimed at educating people about a group of rare diseases that occur when a substance called amyloid builds up in the organs. One type, hereditary ATTR amyloidosis, can cause a wide range of symptoms: numbness and tingling in hands and feet, burning pain, dizziness, shortness of breath, and digestive issues. The condition runs in some families, but many struggle for years to get diagnosed. Genetic counselor Emily Brown has more.
Genetic testing and counseling can help you make informed decisions about your health by identifying your risk for hereditary ATTR amyloidosis sooner and by sharing information about support resources.
Alnylam sponsors third-party genetic testing and counseling at no charge for people who may carry a gene mutation associated with hereditary ATTR amyloidosis. For more information, visit alnylamact.com. That's ALNYLAM act.com.
Thank you for listening to Radio Health Journal, a production of MediaTrax Communications. If you enjoyed this week's show, please leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. You can find more Radio Health Journal stories about health, science, and technology on iTunes, Stitcher, and at radiohealthjournal.net.